I am an external lecturer at CBS, Copenhagen Business School, and I have a master degree class where we typically have between 50 and 100 students. Some of them have a background from marketing, and some don't. It's a mixed class of all different kind of students. And most of them are Danish, but we also have foreign students at CBS. And what we use my marketing experience is to gather the whole theory element and discuss it in a practical case, an empirical case like this. What the students actually experience is that they get to play with all the different aspects, if it's segmentation, if it's positioning, if it's the four Ps, if it's strategy, whatever they deal with. And they figure out how everything fits together and how everything has an influence of what we're doing. And that has been one of the major reasons why we have chosen to work with the My Marketing Experience game. We do it in a way that we have it at some point in the semester. It's not at the total end of the semester, because after we have discussed or we have played the game My Marketing Experience, then we have some CSR, we have some future discussions and things like that. But after we have gone through the whole strategy part of it, then we implement the game, and it gives the students an overall idea of what it's about, what the marketing strategy is about. We do it in a bit alternative way because we play the game in one day. We start early in the morning, 8 o'clock, and we end it around 4 or 5 in the afternoon. And that is, I know that other schools have like a period over several weeks where they play the game, but we don't do that. We do it in one day. It's very intense. It's very focused. And that's by purpose we do it in this way. First of all, we haven't got the time and the budget to from the school to run it over several weeks. We have had that experience that having or playing the game in one day, it gets much more intense, and it gets we get much more relevant discussions because we have all the different elements through the game where we go through them in one day. And for us, that has been more effective than if we should take bits of parts of the game and go over several weeks. In the start, they have like 1 or 1.5 hours to take the first part of decision, and it gets quicker and quicker when through the game. The last period, we only have about 20 minutes or something like that, or half an hour for the groups to take a decision. That's actually quite funny because they also have the time issue over the decision making, which is exactly the same as in real life. In real life, we don't have like several weeks to make a strategic, some decision of pricing or promotion or branding or whatever. We have to take decisions right away. So it's a good way of forcing the students also to delegate information seeking and then figure out what decisions they actually should make through the game. So therefore, we have actually had pretty good success by doing the whole game in just one day. We have never got negative feedback from the students. We've always had a very positive feedback. And some of the traditional feedback they tell us is, oh, now we get the whole picture of what you have been trying to teach us. They've got an overall picture of what the whole thing is about and how complex the world actually is. I know this is a fictitious game and it's not a real life situation, but still, it gives you a very interesting and a very realistic picture of what problems and which challenges you would be placed in if you're a marketing manager in a company. And that has been a good experience. We always have had students participated in the game. They've always had this feeling after they participated in the game that they got an overall picture. And now they could see the whole picture of what this class is actually about. And that has been the good thing. That's why we both like to play it every year. We have played the game, I think it's now 4 or 5 years. It is voluntarily if you want to play the game. Just like everything else at CBS, we can't force people or students to come and play. We can't force them to participate in lectures or anything. That's not how the university level in Denmark functions. Everything is voluntarily. If you want to join us, that's great. If you don't, it's your problem. We don't count it as a part of the grading. It's not a part of the exam. But we encourage the students to participate. From the first introduction lecture we have, where we go through what the curriculum is about and what we're going to do and how we work with cases and how we work with lectures and how we work with the game, we encourage the students to participate. And approximately 90% of our students participate in the game. It's only if they're sick or they aren't in town at the moment or they are doing something else, some has a job that they can't get out of, things like that. But approximately 90 or 95% of our students participate because we tell them that it is extremely important for their overall understanding of the curriculum and what we're trying to teach them in this course. Almost all of them have a very positive reaction towards it. It's really interesting to see their development through the game and see how many decisions of different kinds that they have to make. If it's promotion or if it's product or if it's the pricing or if it's the overall strategy or whatever, then it's pretty interesting. There's some parts of the game we don't force them to write a marketing plan, for example. We don't use that module because that's not interesting when we only have one day to play the game. We always tell them you can do it, but it's not important for us that you actually write a marketing plan. It's more important for us that you discuss the different challenges you are faced in the game. So no, it doesn't have any influence on the marking or the grade giving in the final exam. But as we also tell them, it is obvious and it's easy for us to see in their final exam who has actually participated in the game and who skipped it. We can usually see it in the final. We have such a synopsis exam where they write a 10-page synopsis for the exam. And it's easy for us, we're two teachers in this course, that we can see on the students if they have participated in the game, because the students that participate in this game has a much clearer understanding of the overall problems that we see in this course. So that has been a good thing about the game, and we'll definitely want to use it also in the future. No doubt about that. It hasn't had an influence on our way of teaching. We have the usual lectures and we have the usually case classes. We feel it's important part of the class because it kind of gathers all the different subjects that we have gone through. And we usually have the game after first we discuss some market analysis, and then we discuss some segmentation and some positioning and some overall strategy, and then we get to the 4 Ps. And after we have gone through the 4 Ps, then we play the game. It kind of sums up the first 3/4 of the course and all the subjects that we have gone through. And in that sense, it has been a help for us because we never have a chance to actually go through the overall problems that hits a marketing department in a company. And that's what we get the chance here to do. So we use it in a way that we try to only play in one market because then it's easier to see in the positional maps and so where the groups are placed. And usually we have 3, 4, 5 students in each group. And then whenever they have the discussion forums where they try to figure out what they do, we as teachers wander around in the groups and discuss with them, and we're not helping them, but we're trying to answer different questions they have, figure out which challenges they're facing and why and how they can come over and what they should remember and things like that. So it gets a very fruitful discussion in each group. And they are extremely competitive. Nobody wants to lose this game. Everybody wants to win it, and it's just, and they don't get any prize or anything, but they, as we tell them, they have the opportunities to brag if they win the game. And there's always one team that are better than the other. So that's how it is. And but it's great fun to go through whenever we have gone through a round, and we put up the results on the screen so everybody can see where people are or the groups are placed, and we show them the positional maps, what has happened, where they have moved around in the positional maps, and we have a small talk about that before we go on to the next round. Then we, of course, introduce what will happen here in the next round, what will open up, which opportunities, which possibilities do they have, and then we can take a discussion from there. So as we are 2 teachers on this course, so we wander around and talk to the groups and help them as much as we can. And that is very interesting also for us as teachers, that we can see which challenges they have and where their discussion is going through and how we actually can guide them and challenge them a bit. It's very typical for some of the students to be very quick in their decision making. Oh, we'll just raise prices. And sometimes we have to try to just stop them a bit in this very aggressive decision mode and say, did you think about price elasticity of demand, or have you thought about this and that before you begin to work in this way? The fun thing about it is that whenever we challenge them in some of their decision making, they stop up and think, oh, maybe we should go through this once more time before we press the button in the game and say, this is what we're going to do. And that is a part of the learning phase, and that helps us a lot. Read the manual. The first time we played the game, it was actually very funny because we were 3 instructors at that time, and we played it with ourselves just to try it out. And if you are a teacher or if you're several teachers in a course, play the game yourself. You can do the decision making much faster than the students can. You don't have to think that much about it because you probably have an experience that they don't have. But play the game between yourselves and see how it works and what happens. And study the manual because it gives you a lot of good insights to how the game actually works. And then set extra time off the first time to technical issues. Be absolutely sure that there's no technical issues, that all students have got their passwords, they have logged onto the game, and give out student passwords a couple of days before you want to play the game so they can log on and they can just browse around and see how it works. And so you're absolutely sure that every student group are in or has been able to log on to the game. If I should recommend new teachers in this game, which I definitely will because it is a good game. The technical issue, play the game before and read the manual. That would be these 3 things I would recommend. Try it out before you try it with the students. Try it out yourself. These types of games really can help the students get an overall understanding and a grasp of what we're trying to teach them. One of the problems, as I mentioned before, with the normal teaching method, where you have lectures where it's probably the lecturer or professor is just standing talking and no students say anything because they have to be very brave if they open their mouth up in a lecture where there's 100 or 150 students listening to their questions. So it's typically just a one-way speech. When we talk about case classes, then it's a much smaller class where we have some more interaction and some discussions. But still, the good thing about the game is that they get the possibility and the chance to actually make their own decisions. In a case class, there we can discuss different problems and different challenges, but they're not challenged in seeing what will happen if I make one decision compared to another one. And that's the good thing about these types of games. I don't know if we're doing it in another way, but as we run through the game in one day, it has positive and negative aspects of running through it one day. But I would recommend that you try different ways of integrating this game into the class. For some schools, maybe one day is a good idea. We've also tried to do it over a weekend. That has also been interesting. We have never tried to integrate it more into class. So there's different ways of doing it, and you should do it in the way that suits you best, and in the optimal way according to how you teach. I'm not saying the way we do it is the optimal way or the best way. It depends. So you can use it in different ways, and that's the good thing about this game, in my opinion.